We start tonight with a live look at Snoqualmie Pass, where conditions are really snowy at this hour. Difficult to even see from this vantage point. And if the forecast pans out, we could wake up to a similar scene in Spokane tomorrow morning. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 10 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. With snow and ice already on the ground, driving conditions could be especially difficult tomorrow morning. Before we get to that, let's start with meteorologist Thomas Patrick joining us in the Outdoor Weather Center. So Thomas, what do the latest forecast models show about when the snow arrives and how much we could see?
Yeah, it's getting very close to Spokane. Not snowing just yet, but thinking around midnight will be the onsets of the snowfall event. And by tomorrow morning, quite a bit of snow on top of that packed snow and ice that's already on the ground. The entire area under winter storm warnings that has already kicked in lasts through most of the day for tomorrow. In fact, you look out towards central Washington. This is I-90 at the Moses Lake area. This is a snow-covered interstate. Obviously would be very slow driving as of this hour, as there's usually not much traffic during the overnight. So all that snow that is expected is just going to pile up, and hopefully the crews and the plows are going to have a chance to keep up with this snowfall event. Already heavy snow across central Washington, of course out in the Cascades, just inching closer towards Spokane. Give it another hour or two and it will be here. But as you see, if you are in areas just to the west of Spokane along I-90, really from Sprague and west, it is already snowing. And coming up, we're going to go into more detail as to how much snow we're going to get city by city.
Thomas, thank you very much. Now for some context. It's been a while since we've seen a really significant snowfall here in Spokane. A little more than a year ago, 8 inches of snow fell in Spokane in a single day. KREM 2's Janelle Finch is live tonight to tell us more about the last time our area saw a record-breaking amount of snow. Janelle?
Mark, it was December 30th, 2020, when we saw 8.1 inches of snowfall on a single day. On that December day, we saw a jackknife semi that blocked off I-90 for hours, as well as Snoqualmie Pass closures. Snowplows, power companies, and schools are all watching for the snow tomorrow to come in similar amounts. Today, plows were getting ahead of the incoming snow by clearing off current roads. Tomorrow's weather will come as snow with freezing rain to follow in some areas, which means slower travel times and cars potentially sliding off roads. If and when the city activates a full city plow, you can monitor when your street will be cleared. The city has a plow progress map. This is the map from their last full city plow. Purple means crews are working or monitoring that particular street. Green means complete, blue means working, and red means next. Also, when it snows, the city asks that you park on the odd side of the streets. On snowy days in downtown Spokane, on-street parking is prohibited between midnight as well as through till 6 a.m. That's so crews can better clear the roads. In Spokane, Janelle Finch, KREM 2 News.
All right, Janelle, thank you very much. WashDOT says that traveling over the mountain passes in the next 24 hours will be extremely difficult, especially all the mountain passes from Washington to Idaho. Thomas, we'll send things back out to you in the Outdoor Weather Center one more time. So if you do have to drive over one of those passes tomorrow, is there any window where it looks like it might be okay to do so?
Unfortunately not, Mark. Really, if you are having any of those travel plans over mountain passes tomorrow, really you gotta postpone it because of how much snow there's expected. And honestly, the roads are likely going to be closed anyways. Even Snoqualmie Pass is expecting 12 to 18 inches of snow at the peak of the pass. And areas even to the east slopes of the Cascades, you're looking at 8 to 12 in Ellensburg, 12 to 18 in Cle Elum. So it's not just the peak of the mountain passes. Central Washington, a lot of our area valleys are going to see just as much snow anyways. Then we get snow. Then we get some rain on top of the snow come tomorrow afternoon, and that actually could make conditions worse, as there could be avalanche danger on these mountain passes. In fact, Stevens Pass is expected and is planned to be closed at 5 a.m. tomorrow for avalanche control. Crews say that that's expected to be between 30 minutes to 2 hours, but again, with how much snow and then the rain, snow, avalanche danger, there are likely just going to be road closures, not just tomorrow, but perhaps over the next 48 hours.
All right, good information there, Thomas. Thank you very much. Also, if you are planning on flying out of Spokane soon, you might want to check your flight status. Right now, several flights are delayed and canceled out of the Spokane International Airport. They tweeted this photo today warning the incoming snow could impact flight operations. So they suggest that you give yourself more time to get to the airport. And again, check flight information at that link right there at the bottom of your screen. Well, here are 3 things you need to know ahead of tomorrow's snow. As you know, Spokane is built around hills, right? So here are some tips to help you tackle those hills tomorrow. If you have the choice to avoid hills, you should do so, say transportation officials. But if you must take the hills, be confident in your approach. Start with a bit of acceleration before you reach the hill, and don't try to power up it. Once you're on the hill, if you press the gas hard, you'll just start spinning your wheels. The biggest takeaway, make sure you have that initial speed. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult to make it up one of those hills. In other news, if you have Christmas trees or yard debris that you need to be picked up in Spokane County, Spokane Valley, Deer Park, Airway Heights, or Liberty Lake, you might have to store it for a bit longer. Waste Management Northwest is operating in what they're calling recovery mode, which means there will be no yard waste collection this week, they said. In Spokane County, road crews are also preparing for the upcoming storm. De-icer already starting to be laid down tonight, and crews will work around the clock, they said. The Spokane City Streets Department is expecting that it will have to shift to a 24/7 full city plow. That happens once 4 inches of snow is on the ground. That means the city will move to 24/7 operations with the goal of completing that full city plow in 3 days. Street Department Director Clint Harris says this winter has been challenging for crews so far this season. He says this has depleted the city's supply of salt and sand much earlier than usual.
Normally we've got kind of a balance of temperatures that range. This year with the extreme cold, the range has been much colder, which limits the tools that we use to being more granular salt and sand.
Harris says they do have enough supply to treat the roads. Once crews head out, they'll start plowing priority areas such as arterials first. Then they'll move on to the hills. And looking across the border in Idaho, Coeur d'Alene is getting their plows ready for the heavy snow. They started earlier today by checking all their equipment and putting out de-icer on the roads to melt any of the ice that might already be there. In Coeur d'Alene, they start plowing at 3 inches, and they are planning on activating a full city plow for the snow that is forecasted. Crews are asking people to avoid parking on the street, give plows plenty of room, and make sure you give yourself plenty of time to get to where you're going without rushing, they said. And we want to make sure that you are up to date during what could be the biggest snowfall event of the season so far. So for an hour-by-hour forecast, school closures and delays, just text the word snow to 509-448-2000. And also join us tomorrow morning for Up with Krem for the latest coverage on the roads and any impact to your day coming up tomorrow. All right, coming up after the break, police reform laws that were passed last year could change yet again. What Washington state Republicans are saying about the laws. And a little later in the broadcast, we'll take a closer look at the mountain passes and another reason they could be hazardous. That's coming up next.